All right, welcome everybody. Our last webinar of our Lightning Mastermind series. The goal for today is to set up our 2026 for success. So if your 2025 wasn't what you wanted it to be and you didn't hit the goals you're hoping to hit, we have some awesome guests that are going to be providing some amazing content to help set you up for success for 2026. Can you believe we're almost at Thanksgiving here? Holy cow. It's like you
Turkey
blink
next
your
Thursday.
I know you blinked your eye and this year's over with. I'm still in disbelief, but my God, we better start planning now, right?
Right.
All right. Well, we got some amazing company again. Top producers with Vreeland Real Estate, Amber Brown and Scott McEnany. How are you guys?
Good.
Fabulous. Happy Thanksgiving.
Busy.
Awesome.
Same to
Awesome. And
you. Happy Thanksgiving.
yeah, happy Thanksgiving. And then James Quigley. A new face with 14 days to close, our lending partner. And James, awesome. You're fairly new to being a loan originator, right? You were in processing for quite a while. Recently got your license, started mid-year with us, and you made an immediate impact, man. It's just tough to do in this space. Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, my friend. Well, again, we talked about this being our last segment of our Lightning Mastermind series. The first couple, we talked about systems to help you get started in the business and help you thrive, the offer strategies, and now again, it's really about just dialing into how we're going to make 2026 our best year in real estate ever, hopefully, right? Take the word hopefully out though. What am I doing? Oh my gosh. That's a cuss word. We're going to make 2026 our best year ever.
Here we
Well, we'll get
go.
cranking. Yeah, and then Jordan Reeland, the founder of Reeland Real Estate and Visionary, he'll be joining us mid-conference. We'll probably pop in about half hour in to wrap up some final thoughts with us. Sound good?
We're
Get
awesome.
it rocking
All
and
right,
rolling.
rock and roll, guys. Let's cook. So, our first topic to set up for 2026 and the secrets to thriving there, we're going to talk about the four pillars of sustainable production, which I think that's something a lot of people have a challenge with, just being consistent with your productivity. The market's always going to change, so how do you maintain that consistency? So, from chaos to consistency, without further ado, our four pillars. Number one, pipeline predictability. How the hell do we do that? um, let's start with, we'll maybe touch on like lead flow systems, managing your CRM or having mastery of your CRM, how to nurture long-term clients. Just Amber and Scott, maybe touch on that piece, pipeline predictability. How the hell have you guys been so consistent over the last few years?
Go ahead, Scott.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Start this party, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. We teach here nurturing your pipeline, and it isn't about just putting it in a stage and letting it sit and wait for the buyer to reach out to you. It's about using our systems, our CRM, and the technology, which we have a ton of, to consistently contact the client through text, email, and phone calls, CTE, right? Calls, text, emails.
There
And
you
so,
go.
we found that that works. It's a lot of follow up and a lot of predicting, reaching out to the client and guiding them through their home search online, which is I enjoy it. I really do. I like helping people find homes. So that's, I set it up in our system. I check on it daily and I reach out to people daily and guide them through the process. I don't bug them or annoy them, anything like that. Once you establish that relationship, it's really a collaboration.
Mm, love
And
that word.
yeah.
I'll
Good
piggyback off of
stuff.
what Scott said, and do the same thing, right? So I love the systems, and I'll speak to some people when I say this. Sometimes all of the technology we have to offer can be intimidating, but once you learn how to utilize it, it gives you like this superpower. I tell people this all the time, like the CRM like, gives you like these superpowers where you're literally, you look like you're in the right place at the right time, saying the right things. But you got to do all of these things with intention. You build your pipeline because you're having intentional conversations, right? You are not just saying, hey, check out this test I just sent you. What did you like about it? Like, learning how to have intentional conversations. Scott says it best. I have to earn that conversation on the phone. So what value am I providing prior to? So you
Amen.
heavy. You build a pipeline, a strong pipeline to get you through a whole year by being extremely intentional. So I will say that systems and intention will get you exactly where you need to be.
Yeah, and we use the acronym a lot, CTE, but for me, it really is ETC. It's kind of backwards, where I use the email and the texting to market myself to the client to get to what Amber was saying. And then that's where the reciprocity steps in. They've seen my brand. I've been working for them. They know when I call, they know I'm calling. They know who's on the phone because they've received enough of my texts and emails. And I've worked for them. It just isn't one word or a small sentence. Hey, do you like this house? Do you want to buy this house? Do you want to buy this? No, I'm beginning what we call inside scoop. I'm providing relative information to homes, to market, to timing. And so when I call, they know I have something to talk about. It just isn't
The
Well,
sales.
value.
you're giving them a reason to answer the phone
Absolutely.
instead of talking to another,
Absolutely.
hey, check it in.
Instead of sneaking up
Following
on
up.
them.
Right, right.
Right.
No, that's
Actually
great.
trying to earn the business. I mean, I think we forget that. Like, we're not door openers, it's not check task. I did this today, just because I think a lot of why we have challenges in our own pipelines is because we're just going through the motions to say we did it,
Right,
right? But
right.
there's no, what are you doing? Exactly. Like, what are you
Yeah,
trying to accomplish today by calling 40 people and nobody answers you? What did you do? So I
that's
think
great.
that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, so like, how many times do we see people that really are, they're doing some effort. So, like, man, they're making X amount of calls, they're doing X amount of activity, but they're just not connecting at all because there's no intent. Like you said, that's a great
None.
buzzword, like calling with intent, bringing the value. There's so many people that have a license that don't bring any value, which makes other people look bad sometimes. But when you can really,
Exactly.
the ones that do it, they're bringing some sort of value. And I love the fact that you did make it backwards, Scott. Give them value, then they're going to want to answer the phone because they want more of what you're giving. Now, I
Exactly.
think, how do we get this how does that translate into like predictable production, right? Because I think if you're doing that daily, it's hard not to start having predictable pipeline production, right? Because if you're constantly feeding the beast and bringing value to people, how are you not going to do business? Then it's a matter of, right, I can pick out what business I want to do, which is even, more fun. But that's good stuff, guys. I appreciate that. Um, and I think a big piece of this too, that we agents fall in this trap is just being so reactive to the day. They're letting the day run them. They're not really being
Oh,
proactive and
yeah. Good one,
calm.
Jason.
And
Really
I
good one.
think, yeah, like owning your day and that time ownership, and it's something we really spend a lot of time in. But if we can maybe start with you, Amber, on this one, like how do you protect, like we have to have that consistent prospecting we're just kind of talking about, how putting in that daily action, but how do you predict, or I'm sorry, what I'm looking for is like protecting your prospecting time.
Ooh,
Like how do
come
you
on
do
now.
that,
That's a good question. Bring
and
the
eliminate
we
eliminate distractions. Like even when you're prospecting, I want to go see this house in an hour. Can you do it? Like I got a
no,
like, yeah,
money
so
making activity.
all right.
Money making activity. If I could give that to any real estate agent that's been in the industry for years or somebody just starting out, you got to protect your time. Everything is not a priority. Everything can't be a priority, right? So learning so my time blocking is based on money making activity. Those are the things that are more important to me. And in my daily activities, there is nothing more than earning new business. There's nothing more important than that, right? I owe it to my business that I've built and have been very, very disciplined about to spend that time nurturing and getting, new business on my pipeline, like having those conversations, building that rapport. There's nothing else more important. That inspection will be a bad inspection in an hour. It will be a bad inspection in 2 hours. That escalation call where the sellers want to cancel, they're going to want to cancel at 3 o'clock too. I promise you. So learning how to identify what is truly, moving my needle to my goals, my financial goals or my business goals, whatever that is when you become elite. When you can just say, nope, I mean, even down to my brokers and like, no, I don't have time for you right now. But respectfully, you got to get on my calendar, buddy. So that's how you step it up. When you can identify that it's not really important, not really. I can argue with you later. I can go back and forth with you later. It's perfectly fine.
Awesome stuff. James, what do you got to add to that?
I mean, I think they knocked it out of the park. Just time blocking in general, making sure that you're hitting what you need to do instead of just following the day as it gets thrown to you. So, I mean, the biggest things I've implemented is, in the morning, focus on my prospecting, make the calls, focus on new business, don't handle the issues as they come, stuff like that. But then the biggest thing is taking the time to set my task for the day. Like, hey, here's what I need to accomplish. These are my priorities, as Amber mentioned, not something that I just need to take care of at some point. So just time blocking, being intentional with your time, not just, putting a little organization to the chaos.
Organized chaos. I love to say that because I feel like it's what it is half the time.
Organized
But
key.
as long as we're organized chaos, we're good, man. We can run this thing. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Got anything you want to add to that?
Sure. What I find also, Amber's the queen of time blocking, and she sets a great example for that. Also, you have to run the play, what we call the play, right? And so that's doing your job, getting better at your job, right? Of helping your clients. And how does that affect your time? Well, like Amber was saying, you run out and show a house. Well, have you pre-qualified that client? Right? Or are you just going doing the easy, okay, yeah, I'll show them the house and then we'll figure it out. Or they sound like they can afford it, or whatever the case may be. But there's several steps in the story of purchasing a home. And I like to say that the first step is helping the buyer find out what type of financing and the how much. And so for me, that right there opens up or controls a lot of time that could be wasted, because if you don't make that decision up front, one house turns into four, one showing turns into an afternoon, which turns into tomorrow, and you've gone past that opportunity to set that standard that, look, before we go out there, this is what we need to do. And so for me, getting better at that over time has allowed me to manage my schedule better.
That's really almost alluding to my next point. So good stuff, really, with like leveraging your teammates. Like you manage very well. Like you really have that ironed out, which is why where you're at in life, right? But like with in regards to like team level, like delegation, mentorship, transaction support, like how does that help? Again, it's all about creating that predictable pipeline, right? How does this all kind of tie together? Like using some of your teammates to either like, and we use each other, like we're here for each other, like we're Ubuntu, our number one core value. I am because you are. We're all counting each other to do our parts, right? And if we're all doing that on a consistent basis, we're going to win more than we lose. It's almost hard not to, but we just touch on leveraging teammates a little bit.
Was that for me?
Anybody, you can
I'll
keep
jump
going if
in.
you
I
want,
can
man. Let's
talk all
go.
day. I just look quiet. Well,
The
it,
wheels are
it
spinning, I
really
see.
is. And if you go through any real estate transaction, there's so many steps involved that you can easily lose control, which costs you time and can cost your client money and can cost you money, right? But if you have a team member or a team in place for each one of those steps in the purchasing of a home, well, then there you go. I mean, you're so far or so much ahead of your competition, and you're providing that customer service to the client. You're not making it up as you go along. Okay, I've gotten this far. Now this time I'm getting this far. It's, hey, I've been through all this, and I have a person, an entity in place to support us along the way. I used the analogy the other day that you don't want to play a football game every time with new team, right? And that's what happened. If you don't put together a good team, starting from your transaction coordinator all the way to your title company, it can be you're making things up, and that gets back to what we were talking about ownership of your schedule, right? Just think of every transaction you're having to locate a new inspector, or you were writing the contract yourself for each transaction, or you had to work with different lenders, a different title company every time,
Great point, man.
or you have that team that reduces all of that and lets you focus on new business and customer service. It just isn't, okay, I got everybody in place. Call me when I can pick up my check. It's, hey, now I have this time. Let me step up my customer service, right? Because
Mhm.
I want a referral. I want to sell their house for them. I want to be there in 3 5 years when they want to purchase a new home. Why? Because it was a seamless process.
That's great. And I think you really hit it too with the team. Like trying to win a game with a different team every time is tough. That's a great perspective, my
It's
man. It's
really
like,
good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like you play how you practice. And if you're playing together and practicing together again and running that same play over and over again, it just becomes seamless, and which in turn will give a hell of an experience to a client ultimately if where everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. And even if something does go wrong, we know what the audibles are, we know what the checkdowns are. We can certainly pivot to what we got to do to still make it to the end zone or whatever. We do a little sports analogies here, love it or leave it. But, it makes a lot of sense, Scott, for sure, my man. James, new to the space. And as far as production goes, like how do you feel? How's it helped you really stay consistent with your production?
As far as working with my team, is that
Just yeah, how's it? Have you seen that benefit? Are we talking crazy?
oh no, 1,000%. I would say having a solid team around you is, you know, helps significantly. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many buyers that I pre-qualify, pre-approve. If they don't have a home, doesn't really mean anything to me. So, I have a great
Right?
team around me with Amber, Scott's. I know that they're going to find the perfect home for the buyer and almost watch out for me as much as I'm going to watch out for them. So that's
Yeah.
huge.
It feels good to be able to throw it past Amber or Scott, doesn't
Hmm.
it? Amen. Amen. And that's what it's about. And I think having that team in place, when it comes down to a predictable pipeline, I know I can do business, but just have all these little pieces in place. You don't have to overcomplicate it. It's a lot of work still, but like dumb it down, like surround yourself with people that are on that same page, and it goes a long way. Very good stuff. And next
I
piece,
like
just
to
kind
add
of,
this though,
yeah, fire away.
everybody has like, and I mean, obviously everybody that makes goals, because I already know we're making aggressive 2026 goals, right? Duh. But I will tell you, release the control. I'm a control freak, and I will tell you when I had 14
Ooh,
contracts at one time and tried to do most of that by myself. Just know I leaned on my team after that. Once I got out of that, that organized chaos, I wouldn't even call that organized actually. But, you realize like you have to, as you elevate, you have to delegate. And again, back to what I said earlier, like identify what is still a money making activity and what is something that I can release so that I can get my time back to work on other things. A lot of real estate agents will go on this thing what I call the roller coaster. I hate roller coasters, right? They make me sick to my stomach. So you have a season where you go really like up, oh my God, you got 5 6 contracts. And because you don't have that team surrounding you, you're stuck on those 6 contracts. So when they close, because they will close, right? When they close, you're back to ground zero, starting over, building up again. So when you have your team implemented during the process, you can still comfortably have 14 contracts. 0 out of 10 would not recommend because it is stressful. But point being, you can have 14 contracts and still work on new business at the same time, right? So you always have that pipeline building and you have closings each month, but you can't do that by yourself. You will go crazy.
oh, you're on it. Like it'd be impossible to do that if you didn't let go some.
You
You'd go
have to. You
bananas, and
absolutely
you
have
wouldn't
to.
definitely wouldn't have new business. That's for sure, because you spend all your time trying to maintain it.
But
Yeah.
then the other thing is your client's experience, like lackluster at best, right? So like you have to remember that too. Like I had 14 contracts, but can I go back to that time and like, will any of them use me as a referral because I was scrambling and going crazy and stuff? It was good to like brag about it, but what am I really bragging about? If none of them are going to call me back to, to say, hey, she did a really good job. Or no, I just got through. Like I just went through the motions to say I did it. So that is a good point. Delegate and elevate.
Yeah, and it's funny because Jordan always says we all have our superpowers, right? Doesn't mean we can do a lot of stuff, but we all have that one or two things that we're really, really good at. So it's like that's where you focus. Let your team help with because that's maybe their superpower. Like you can manage a transaction, but your transaction coordinators, that's their superpower. That's what they do all day. They're compliance kings and queens. Let them rip. That way you can use your superpower to be in front of those clients or negotiating the next deal, what have you. So I'm with you on that, 100%. And last piece on this section, guys, maybe everyone kind of touch on we already touched on some, but anything specific else or any other systems or habits that you guys have that's helped you move from that chaos to more consistent, organized chaos, at least, besides what we already touched on. Anything else?
This is not related to the business. Well, I guess it is. It's just how you start your morning. Like your morning routine is so
Everything's
freaking
related to the
important.
business. That
Oh my
especially is.
God. It has everything to do with the business, I guess, in that degree, like
Yes.
fueling your, your physical and everything in the beginning before you go into the organized chaos, because like that's how we can deal. Like that's why all of us maniacs can wake up and do it over and over again. But in the beginning, in the beginning of the day, like waking up and being again poured into yourself, that's how you get, to the next level in your business. But that's important. It's an oldie but goodie. Like what you do in the morning, you will depict what your day looks like for real. And I stand 10 toes down behind that.
Awesome. All right. James or Scott?
I think
I,
I had you did first, James, so I beat you. But I would say it goes back to what you were just talking about, the team, and what Amber had mentioned about letting go. When I first started, I had been my own transaction coordinator and we're doing a lot of transactions a month. So I was very guarded and protective of each one. But it wasn't until that I let go of that things really started to take off and I found more time to give better service, right? And to prospect and to nurture, like we are talking before, nurture. Where do you get all the time to do that? Well, my team helps me out. I've let go. I don't second guess. I don't micromanage. That's their job. They're professionals, right? And they're in it with me and they know my expectations. And I'm aware of everybody's capabilities and they're aware of mine. So releasing and walking away, letting that go, and focusing on the things that I do best really separated for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. James, anything to add?
I mean, yeah, I mean, everything all boils down to having that great team around you and then also sticking to your strengths. So, kind of what Scott said, and then back to what Amber said, starting your day off in the right way. That was my biggest challenge coming to where I'm at now is, I always put myself behind the business, not taking that time to work out in the mornings and make sure I was right, just carrying all that stress. So, got into the routine of waking up in the morning, getting the time to myself, a little stress relief, get my mind and body ready for the day. That way, I'm not handling a fire call at 8 a.m. still groggy. I'm all right, here's how we're going to fix this. Here's what we need to do and get stuff moving. So, having a good team as well as focusing on myself and making sure I'm ready, it's done wonder for my business.
Awesome. Well, I see the common theme starting again. Oh, good stuff. So that's again our goal with that last segment was really just to kind of give you the four pillars that we have in place that we know help all of us produce at a higher level for that sustainable production. It's that foundational layer that you have to have really you have to be really good at, right? And that consistency is going to pay off dividends to you moving forward year after year after year, right? All right, our next big section. I'm pretty excited about this one, Scott. This is we talked a little bit about this, the last couple of days, but it seems so simple, but it's something where a lot of people struggle with, and it's leading on. So we're going to say it's confidence is the new commission, the art of selling certainty, right? And we realize how many people just don't really know. They either lack the confidence to have a good conversation or to walk somebody through the process. But um, we're gonna really just talk about how confidence drives conversion and builds client trust, right? That's really what we're going to touch on now. And I don't think again, some of what we were talking about before, they don't just buy homes, they buy your confidence. And like if I were to go out with Scott or Amber or James, get a loan consultation from you, I would like just feel like, yeah, I'm in. What do I get? I'd follow your lead. I wouldn't even think twice, just because of like the confidence you guys exude when you're in your best and you're in front of that client, you're in that showing, or what have you. It's just like you could tell you're the guy or the girl, right? There's no question. Like I know I'm in good hands. And a lot of people, I think, struggle with that. Like you would, like, hey, I'm on to the next house. I'm not even thinking about calling you back if I was the client to some people, right? Just because you didn't wow
Right.
me at all. You didn't give me any value again. But like, it's not just value. Like anybody can give some data, but just that whole aura that you guys portray when you're in front of somebody or talking to a client, it's a no-brainer why you guys are as successful as you are. But how do we fix that? How do we get other people to kind of get that vibe?
Ooh. Ooh, that's a good one, Scott.
This is
Yeah.
all Scott. You too, and James too, but
Right, right.
this is
Yeah,
Mr. Scott right now.
right. I always go back. Isn't that great? Where you left off of what have you changed? Your mindset, right? And
Hmm.
so and this has worked for me. I've really shifted gears at the beginning of the year. So I'm almost 12 months into doing it. And so it's important for me to get Zillow 5-star reviews. I'll be honest with you. So I'm committed to that on the way to the first appointment. Not to get one after the first appointment, but after I close on them purchasing a home, after I've helped them, right? So I go in with that high customer service standard that I put on myself, right? And so I've told you all the other day, I sell one thing once, and that's me. And then after that, I help them purchase a home. I'm not selling homes. I sell them me. I let them know my experience, my background, how committed I am to them. But I also have to meet that standard that I set for myself. And then after that, it's really helping them buy homes. That's all. And it's so much fun. It's just,
Yeah.
can you imagine helping 4, 5, 8 people a month purchase a home? You have your team, so you're not caught in the weeds, right? And you're just out there helping them find a home, negotiating for them, guiding them through the process, maintaining a customer service standard. And at the end, you're almost part of the family. And by doing that, by starting off that way with that mindset, it's made it a lot smoother for me. And then of course, they feel my confidence and they trust me. It's no longer me sending them homes, asking them what they think. They're sending me home. Scott, what do you think about this one? Right? Or when we go to tour a
Huge.
home, they're pointing out things that I educated them on 2 homes ago. How they say, look, the house needs gutters, 8-foot
Yeah.
doors, 10-foot ceilings, window over the sink, right? Open floor, and then we walk in and they're going, Scott, this one has gutters. Oh, look, the high ceilings you talked about. And it's like, yeah. And so I'm just helping. That's all it is. I just
And,
help.
and the money follows. That's what people
It
don't get. Like, don't
does.
chase the
Easy.
dollar,
Falls right in your lap.
chase the
Hmm.
level of service that you're providing. That's what you should chase, and that's amazing. So just to make sure I'm clear, you just are selling one thing, and that's in that very first meeting, it's I'm selling myself. And if I do that and I do that at a very high level, they're going to be putty in my hands. And not in a bad way. They know what
Yeah,
service they're going to get. And I
that's
have
what
a
they're
track
looking
record
for.
that, yeah, got
Yeah.
it.
And I have a habit where I meet them in the driveway. I don't let them in the house until they've listened to me. And I've given them my background and let them know the process and how I'm going to help them and what I'm going to do. And do they have any questions? Okay, let's go inside, take a look at this house.
Amen, man. That's
That's
powerful.
fire.
And let me add, since we're on the subject of religious, because this is important, I think. So, like some of the new teammates, they can just feel like they're saying, well, how the hell do I get to that point? Right? How the hell do I get to that point? Like, how do I use that? I don't have the leads. I don't even have any sales yet, but I feel like I know what I'm talking about to a degree. Like, what's some ideas? Like, how would a new teammate develop into what you are now? Where would they begin?
One thing they could start doing and get really, really intentional. I know I use that word so much, but I'm so serious about it. But like, be really
It's everything.
intentional. Stop having conversations for your comfort and have conversations for your clients that interest your clients. Like, because sometimes we have conversations because we have comfort in this area, which it honestly sometimes those pieces don't even pertain to where your client is in the home buying process. So obviously you have to practice your craft, right? And get a little more broad in what you can bring to the table. But a lot of conversations are had and they're just so off-putting and like off timing. Like, well, why would we even about this right now, So I think having a conversation, I'll always say it, meet your client where they're at. Stop having conversations for you, right? Because you feel satisfied that you data dumped. But at the end of it, your client is leaving that house and they're probably just as confused or don't understand the next step or well, I don't even feel more comfortable or confident in making this purchase. So you didn't add value to that, right? So again, it's not about you, it's about the client. And I think we have to remember that day in and day out, day in and day out. Like it's cool, but it's about them. And then getting personal. Like I'm big on rapport because rapport, I mean, I don't earn your business unless I know, right? I need to know as much as I know somebody's gonna say yes to a house, I need to have that same feeling saying no to a house. Like I know exactly why Jason said no to this house because it doesn't have this, this, and this for, like so when I'm going through homes and I'm not the hounder of like walking through each room with a client. I'm not like that. But I will say, hey, this because I know your dog's name is Fluffy. I'll say, look at the backyard. This is more than enough room for Fluffy, and it's fenced.
Fluffy
So
would love this yard.
now, yeah. So that's what I do. Like I make it about them down to like the
Huge.
granular of details. So yeah.
Well, that's really service, right? That's servicing at a very high level. It's powerful. I love the fact that you said don't make it about your conversation. Chat GPT
No.
can data dump you, but you can bring that value. How are you implementing that data to making a good decision for them or making that decision for them as the trusted professional, right? Good stuff. And I think too, like we newer teammates, like don't try to do it all on your own. Again, use your team. You have all this, you're surrounded by support. You have to learn how to leverage it, right? And that takes a bit too to understand how it works and how it ties in. Just like technology, I learn how to leverage it for my benefit, but like you're never alone on an island. If you just kind of come in and do your part and do your part really well, trust your teammates to do their part, and I think that confidence develops with the reps, and you can't be too cool for school to show up and role play. You can't be, uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable to grow. That's how it is in life,
Right.
man, and anything you do. But this is good stuff. James, you want to add anything to that piece so far?
I mean, it's hard to add when they just knock it out of the park like that. I think the biggest thing, and I agree with Amber, meet them where they're at. I feel like a lot of people focus on the home and like, hey, this is what the home is. They can data dump, as you said, but does it make sense for the client and does it fill their needs? So, especially on the number side, nobody likes to talk numbers, but the goal is essentially to meet the client where they're at. They don't care how much I know about tax returns and documents and yada, yada, yada. They just care about, hey, does this make sense for me? Does this make sense for my family? And is it obtainable? Like, is it something that fits into their story?
Love it. So
Very
like to your
strong.
point, you're like, okay, so great, it has all the space, but it's the mortgage payment. Do I have enough money for it? So
Hmm.
those are very good points.
Great stuff, guys. And I think meeting that client where they're at, reading the room and knowing your audience is huge because how are you going to how are you going to fix the problem if you don't even know, like everyone just likes to hear themselves talk, I think sometimes, and they don't really get to that point of finding out what the real need is, right? Like, what are we talking about? Like, and you're making it about you instead of them, which is bananas, but sometimes you got to learn the hard way. How about, let's talk a little bit about like building like certainty through like preparation. Like how does that help? Like when you walk into the showing, like being maybe the inside scoop, right, is a form of it, but like building that, that clarity, or getting that certainty or that confidence through the preparation we do ahead of time. Like, is there any process you guys that kind of get you set up for success before you go meet that person?
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, it was a long, uncomfortable pause. Yeah, of course, I do the normal preparation as far as with the property or properties, right? But what helps me a lot is I'm a good storyteller. And so I'm able to use that, and Amber is an excellent storyteller. Um, we're able to use that to explain the process, but also overcome objections,
Hmm.
right? With AI and the expansion of AI, I would say that AI can sell a house, but AI can't manage the transaction to closing, right? And so I think that's where the confidence comes in and the communication with the buyers to make them feel comfortable is through the experience of having been through that journey, right? All the way to the end and over again and overcome this. Okay, and now we have this and I've that and the appraisal and the inspection and extensions and so forth. But just, being able to, with confidence and calmness, right, advise your client and help them through all of that based on your experience.
I love the
No,
story.
Oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I do tell
No, I was just
stories.
gonna say, no, yeah, I was gonna say the story though, because I think you're exactly right. When you paint the picture and you tell a story of the process of the transaction or how you've helped these other people in similar situations, I think that's the best advising is
Oh,
through the art of the story, right?
so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you 100% on that. I think some people can't even they don't know all the steps. Like you really got to get good at your craft, right? You got to know what you're going to be walking people through, or else you're going to be able to advise them or
Right.
paint that picture. It only
Because if
takes
you
a
do it
couple.
enough, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you do it enough, it's the same story. It's just different characters in the story.
Yes.
Literally,
And
Great
literally.
point.
And
and
you may
once
flip
you
through
realize that,
chapters,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't that you have to work less or anything like that, but it's you're prepared for what's next, and that's where the confidence comes from. Say, don't worry, I've been through that. Don't worry, don't worry, we got it. You're
We just
fine.
had somebody that had a 580 credit score, 560 credit score. Like we had the tools to get them in the house. Like, what's your credit score? Oh, my credit score is a 640. Okay, great. So what are we talking about here? Why are you still nervous? So feel felt found. It's really good. The other thing though is as confident as I am, I need my client to be confident too. Like I need to give them a good boost. And that does not happen in the house. That happens in our initial communication, which in typical cases in our model over the phone. That first contact is so important. And you better treat it like it's your last. You better treat it like somebody else
Amen.
may call them, but nobody's gonna have a fire conversation with this client outside of me. Even if you say I got an agent, you'll come back because now you're seeing, well, why are
I
you
love it.
what's going on here? And it happens. Like real testaments. It happens all the time. Hey, you remember talking to me, a month ago? You sure do. So that is also important. One last thing,
Fire.
inside scoop, powerful. And let me just explain for inside scoop for the audience. It's like,
All right.
what do you know about this particular instance? If I buy this house, what do you know about it? Not the age of the roof, right? Not any of that. But how can I utilize the circumstance on the seller side to our benefit? And let me tell you something. Why is that important before you step foot in a house? Think about this. Jason, hey, I just talked to the sellers. Well, the listing agent, the sellers are willing to give us $20,000 towards closing costs. Do you think I'm going to give a hoot about the outdated light fixtures if I know that it was $20,000 attached to that going
And
into
the
the
bad
house?
curtains. Right.
Come on now. So when you go in, but that's why that's impactful in the beginning. You want to lay that little nest. I'm gonna put this right here. That is $20,000 attached with this house. Now let's go. Now that you know it's at stake, now let's go look at the house.
Money.
Do the opposite way. Now people are the outdated fixtures and everything else. All things that are cosmetic and can change, but because there's no value attached to this house, you'll be touring them for days and days and months. You get what I'm saying? So that is how the position once you get into that house, that's the finale. That is the finale.
It's like the inside scoop, but that's not the stuff you're going to see in the seller disclosures in the MLS.
No, no. Inside scoop is, oh, I got leverage here.
The real
This is
motivation of the
good
seller.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And you
So
mentioned the clients getting confident in you. And I think their the client's confidence comes from their level of comfort with you. And I think you hit
yes.
it. Like Scott said, he wows them on that first impression in the field, but you hit it too on that phone call. Like these are, if you're talking, especially if you're dealing with internet leads, they don't know you. They're not your friends or your family. You have that one
Right.
chance to wow them and give them a reason to want to talk to you again. And I love the fact that you said, I don't care if you have an agent. I'll bet on myself. I don't care,
I don't mind
I
earning your
know.
business. You
I know
should.
I'll take the Pepsi challenge with anybody, right? Let's go. Doesn't mean that's a bad person. I could be a great person, a great agent, or a great lender, or whatever. But I know what I am too, and I know what I
Hmm.
do, and it's like that comes out of your pores, which is phenomenal. And I think that again, we've seen a lot of people come back. Hey, do you think they'd still work with me? Is it okay if I call them? Like, I don't know. We'll see. It's like of course, right? But like that's when you're heading in the right direction with your business. Um, here's one for you guys. How do you project confidence when the market's uncertain? Because like the last couple of years, we've had a lot of uncertainty out there, right? The world's ending, the market's crashing, interest rates, oh my God, NAR settlement, like pick a reason. I think Christmas is coming, right? That's a good reason than not, but how do you project confidence in uncertain times?
I'll be honest, and this is not bragging about and I promise you I'm gonna mute out after this. Some good stuff. Got the juices flowing. Um, Showing up for your business, right? So our brokerage, I will tell you, we got prepared for every change. Like we made it mandatory to come to role play because we're practicing objections with the turning markets, however it pivoted. So yeah, just working on your craft and practicing before you start talking to clients, like making sure you're prepared to have these conversations, confidently. But I mean, practicing it, you have to understand what's going on first and foremost, like be so in tune with what's going on because that's going to directly impact you, right? And so, I mean, like I said, we do role play Tuesday and Thursdays in our brokerage. And again, it's one of my non-negotiables. Like, I don't care. I'm going to show up because I'm learning, even this many years in the game and being a high performer, I'm never too big or too successful to continue to learn from my peers. Be somebody in licensed for 3 months and I'm taking nuggets from them and I'm like, that's actually really good, like holy moly. Like I didn't think to, say it that way. I'm going to take that from you. So just being present and practicing, practice, 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 and more practice. So
I love it. In fact, I always tell people it's funny. I use you guys examples a lot when I'm talking to potential people that want to join our team. I'm like, it's amazing how Scott and Amber and we have a lot of great teammates, right? But it's like they have the least amount of time because they're doing it. They're producing at a very high level in the field, so they have the least amount of time to do other stuff. But yet, they still made their calls and hit their metrics that we track, right? They still are there for training in these morning sessions even though they don't have to be, but they know that's important. It's important to them enough because they know that's what got them there, or they know that's what they're daily. It's just wired into them, right? They will never deviate. They take their vacations, they do what they want to do, but they also never deviate from what made them successful and keeps them successful. And I always say too, like they're also not too cool for school, where they don't think they know that even though you're a new teammate to our team, maybe with leaving little limited experience in real estate, you might bring one or two nuggets that can impact their business that they know they'd love to take from you, and they'll give back to you in return. But that's the Ubuntu part that we talked about, right? We're here for each other. That people just don't get, and you have somebody that does no business but doesn't have time to do anything. Like, what are we talking about here, man?
right.
So it's I had to share that because that's the same stuff I talk about literally every single day.
That was
Scott,
good.
uncertain times, man. How do you keep that confidence going?
Well, I you think uncertain times. However, the client you're with is interested in buying a home, right? So you're not, like I said, I sell me once. So I'm not trying to sell them the house, I'm trying to help them. So is it uncertain times? Somewhat, but also it's an advantage to the buyer, And so the story, I express that as part of the story or and explain it and go into detail.
It's all part of
Sure,
the story.
interest rates are
Love it.
here. Sure, housing market's here, day on market, whatever the case, great opportunity, And so, but being through that and having the ability to explain that to them is is how I get through that. And then also it could turn around and it could be a seller's market, right? Which we've been in through before. But at the same time, you have to know strategic advantages to use to win those deals for your client. It may be more escrow, sure, cutting down inspection period, cutting down on loan approval period, above appraisal, covering the gap, whatever the case may be. But having the background and experience will give you the confidence to have your client be confident in what you're doing. It really is. There's, you know, um, everybody that we talk with is interested in purchasing a home. And like Amber was saying, they sometimes say, "Well, I have an agent." It's kind of like, "Well, why are you talking to me then?" Why, right? Obviously, that agent.
Playing hard to get.
Why are you on my website? You know what I mean? You look for two
Agent did
months.
not set you up for success if you're
Yeah,
here today.
right, right. So they all want to buy. They're just nervous and hesitant, and sometimes they have objections that they can't express, or I'm going on a little tangent, and I was talking about how satisfying it is to help people purchase homes every month. I'll go on top of that and add to that. you know, I often get clients who never dreamed of buying a home and don't have enough money to buy a home, right? And have never bought a home and they're scared. And I get on the phone with them, right? And what, 5 weeks later, they're moving into a house. You know,
Having their first Christmas in their
isn't
first
that
house.
bananas? You know, I
Yeah,
mean, it really is. You know, they married, two
that's what
kids,
it's about.
been renting, and maybe they have $7,500 or $10,000, which is a lot. That's good job. And they're my credit score is 615 or whatever. I don't think I can get approved or whatever. It's like, look, if you share your information with me, right, I'm going to do my best to help you purchase a home. Might not be the best home on the market, right? But we're going to get you your first home. And it's so much fun. Every month I have at least one of those where that people never thought that they'd be able to own a home, and I was
And
able to
that's,
help them achieve that.
yeah,
I mean, it's just, my goodness.
all part of the story.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just a continuous book. You know what I mean? Well, let's move on. This is great stuff. We got a little bit of time cruncher, so we'll move on to one of our, second to last piece. We already talked a little tech, but this is the AI buzzword, right? This isn't going anywhere, so we might as well talk about it, right? And I think it's important to know. Again, we talked about with technology how it's like, okay, love it or leave it. It's not going anywhere. How do you leverage it? How do you make it? How do you use it to your advantage, right? Don't just use it because you have to. How do you use it to your advantage? I think people think it's replacing me, it's replacing everybody, blah, blah, blah. No, it's replacing inefficiencies so you can be even better at your craft. And James will have you start on this one. Like, is there any tech you want to speak of? You don't have to get in complete detail, but like anything you want to speak of that, how we're using either an AI tool or AI data to help you get better every day at your craft?
Oh, 100%. As far as AI tools that I use, we have this new role play system that we rolled out that helps me significantly. It'll kind of give me the conversation that I'm having with the buyers. It'll point out certain objections that I'm facing or rebuttal or how to rebuttal to it, and just overall how to fine tune my communication style. That way, I'm not having 8 calls with 4 buyers. I'm having one conversation and I'm communicating everything I need to do in the most effective way. So it's helping me kind of fine tune that, save myself time in the long run, just being more clear, more concise, more get to the point essentially. And that's just role play alone. So there's many other things on the loan side that just help me out, make me faster, all of that helps me give the client a better experience instead of long waiting periods that nobody wants.
I love the role play one because somebody else, one of our newer teammates made a comment to me the other day how they really loved the role play system. Now we still do our group role plays, but they said, that everybody's uncomfortable doing role play in front of other people. But we know if you can do that, you can do that to clients. It just comes easier to clients naturally. But they said much they love doing the role play by them because they're by themselves. They don't have to have that fear of messing up in front of everybody and being laughed at or whatever because they didn't know the right
Hmm.
answer. So they can really refine, but they're self-motivated to get better every day. So they're taking advantage of this tool and doing it comfortably because they know it's going to make them better, but without the fear factor of other people, poking fun in case they say something silly. But Scott and Amber, anything specific you guys like in the current tech age that we're using or anything that's helping you specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think just what Zillow shows us as far as data, like knowing exactly what house my client is looking at, where they're looking at, um, how many times they're looking at the house, because like that's buzzy, right? But it allows you to put on this cape. Like I love saying, I look at the kind of like the activity on my CRM, and it says that they've looked at this house. I love saying this, y'all. Take this. Y'all can take it. Y'all welcome. Hey, I saw 123 Main Street, and this made me think of you. And I'm just sending them a link.
Knowing they already clicked it like 5 or 6 times or
You
10
know, they
times.
already looked at it, right?
Look
So
at
it's
this.
kind of
This
like
house is
me.
speaking to me about you.
Oh my God. Like I thought about you immediately, right? So obviously it's like,
Yeah,
oh my God, I
I
was just
love it.
looking at this house. So now it's like, oh, this has to be the perfect timing. And Amber, I was just looking, you would never think I was literally looking at this 45 minutes ago. And I'm like,
You read my mind.
yes, divine
Superpowers.
timing. So. I like to do that.
I love it. Scott.
Yeah, and I think that what Amber was saying goes into because she knows their dog's name's Fluffy. So she has credibility because she's built rapport. So it just isn't the person's going, what? Why would they think of me when they looked at that house? That's Amber. Amber listened. Yeah, we've talked.
Ooh,
She knows what,
listened.
right, right. She knows what I'm looking for. I would add, and they both had great examples. The AI that we use, I would really call it another team member
Oh God, yes.
Oh
because
man.
it truly is. And it, from Sisu or however the heck I say it, right? To, the Zillow Premier agent, you get the Z Buddy, and not only is it telling you what they're looking at, but it does like a data analysis, tells you the most probable time they're going to be looking at homes, right? What areas, what price points, so forth. It correlates that data for you. Follow Up Boss does a good job of letting you know and giving you Wi-Fi alerts, but the Zillow software really, drills that down. And then you add Sisu and Shiloh and everything else we're using. It truly is several team members. You know,
Amen.
you have ISAs, but this is helping you and your transaction coordinator. It's helping you and your ISA. It's helping you and your lending partner, right? All of that. And so, it just isn't something over there. It's like a neat tool or something. It truly is an additional team member or members.
I love it.
And then it
I
just
love
kind
it.
of like, again, going back to that time, like the highest and best use of time, right? It's allowing AI allows you to be laser focused on money making activities. I don't think people understand how great that is, right? So before we were doing a lot of this, like fishing, I think casting the net, you guys say that a lot. Like we were just fishing and praying that something stick.
Something's gonna
AI
bite.
has, right? Eventually, right? If I keep
The
doing this,
dogfish, but
if I keep showing up, something, right? But now it's kind of like, okay, if I had a conversation with somebody looking in Florida and then all of a sudden now they're looking in a different state, that's a conversation piece.
Right.
Did something change in your situation? Like, tell me what's going on. We haven't talked in a while. Oh, I got a job and so and so. And so it's just allowing you to you have eyes everywhere in your business. All right, I'll be quiet. I mean out.
man, that's a great way to put it.
I
And
will I will add this example real quick. I know we're short on time,
you're
but
good.
I was watching a podcast. It was about a year ago, and it was a Zillow podcast, and they had one of the team members on there, and the team member, his job was to analyze and coach phone calls, and he was listening to over 800 calls a month.
Mm,
Okay. And so not only can you imagine where his mindset was and the time it took for him to do and so forth, but his bias. You see,
bias.
yeah, you see,
Great
right?
interpret.
Because
Yeah.
you have
You're coaching
that
through your own
human,
lens, right?
you have that
Hmm.
human touch, right? Okay, is he on his second cup of coffee? Is his phone ringing while he's listening? What's changing or having an impact on his analysis of that phone call of that person's performance? Where with AI, you eliminate all that, right? And so that's when I first saw the phone conversation tool that we use, Shiloh, I was like, man, that guy's out of a job.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
He's out
That's the first thing I
of
thought.
that
And he
was
was doing
that
a
one's
great
getting
job.
replaced, right?
But yeah, now he's been replaced, man. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe he's the one that created it, so maybe
I
he's
hope
bluffing
so.
at the end.
Yeah.
Too funny. Well, and we got a couple minutes left, guys. So all the last thing we want to really just touch on is we've showed some great nuggets, and everybody, thank you so much for providing all this great content. So these are the things that we know we're going to do to create that predictable 2026, right? But just on a level up, what is if everyone just kind of fire through how we're going to personally or how you're going to personally level up for 2026? One or two nuggets. James, new year, new me. Don't say it. No.
Man, you stole my thunder. That was going to be the first words out of my mouth. As far as
Don't be that
2026,
guy.
my biggest thing that I'm, going to take the next step and level up is just overall speed and communication. So we have all these tools at our disposal to really get ahead or, process things a lot faster. So, there's been many deals where, hey, can you run this or can we put an offer on this? Okay, I'll have it to you in the morning. Morning comes, I don't know. I'm no longer interested. So,
Good
Hmm.
just
point.
trying to ramp up my speed, ramp up my communication, be a lot more effective, being intentional and, doing what is needed and having those high level conversations that lead to a next step. So just all around speed and communication, that's where I'm going.
That's your level up. I love it. Amber,
I'm gonna pour into new agents next year. I
I
think,
love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna contribute more and kind of like the coaching and development and showcasing what the brokerage has to offer by way of coaching and development. And so I'm gonna put more time into other agents. Like it's great that I can
I
do
love it.
offers and all of that, but now we need 10 other agents. We need 20 other agents to get real good at this. So that's what I'm
20
gonna do
more
in
Ambers running around would be
2026.
awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, the world be ready for this.
I'm good. Get ready.
I love it. No, that's very rewarding. There's something special about, just seeing your efforts translate into somebody else's efforts and have them see success that you've had already, right?
Yeah,
Good
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Scott,
Yeah, and this goes in with what Amber was saying. My for 2026, I want to become an expert in our software and systems so I can demonstrate to our team how to use them effectively because they're there. And that's next. The AI, everything that's coming, we all know how to use it, but we're not experts in it. So I intend to get a heck of a lot better and then share that with the brokerage.
awesome. Awesome. I love it. And I think for me, I'm going to try to, my biggest thing I think is just being a lot more consistent with those daily disciplines that that you can talk the talk, but if you don't walk the walk, it doesn't mean anything. So another one of our core values is show me. So just really be dedicated instead of going, a consistent 6 weeks to the gym, then take off 4 weeks. I'm gonna make sure I'm consistent. And that's probably the worst cliche new year, new me bullshit, right? Pardon my, oh, I cursed on the webinar, I'm sorry. But it's like it's I know what it does when I'm on point like that. I know what it does for me and how I feel and what I can do for my teammates if I'm 100%, right? So it's like that daily discipline I want to focus on, and then also make sure I'm always looking through the right lens. And what I mean by that is like, you can look at your day. It's gonna be a good day or it's gonna be a bad day. The day's gonna be whatever you say it's gonna be, but you got to choose that path and mentally make note of that's the path I'm going on today. It's a good market or a bad market. Well, there's both at all times in existence. Which one are you choosing to deal with, right? So just making sure my lens is always the lens I want to look through, that abundance mindset where it's like, hey, there's a lot of good here. I just gotta sometimes find it, but it's always there, right? There's just like there's challenges always there. Pick your battles, right? So I think Jordan called it making sure your thermostat's right, you
Yeah.
know? So
It's
that's
kind of like
mine.
picking your attitude.
Amen, man.
Yeah.
Amen. Because it's like
100%.
it's easy to say, but being aware is the first part, right? So I think that's a biggie
Yeah.
for me.
That's kind of
Well,
like the
this is
Zen and the art of real estate.
the Zen, baby. Let's go.
But I would add, because I know we're getting ready to drop off,
Yeah,
is that, I would expect that as I become more proficient and an expert in our system, of course, my sales volume should increase, but then that also sets an example for the rest of the brokerage,
love
right?
it.
It's because it's a challenge to go, okay, do what I do, but you don't want to end up where I'm at. It's easy to go, hey, if you want to
Amy.
be where I'm at, this is what you need to do.
Right.
Right.
Right. No,
And that's why
amen.
we're here on this spot. Same thing. This is what I'm doing. If you want to get here, right? If you want to get to this volume in sales, I just told you what I do. Next year, I just told you what I'm going to do, and you'll get to where I'm at next year if you follow that path.
Run the damn play.
Right.
I
Right.
love it. Any final thoughts or closing statements?
I'll just get after it, man. 2026 should be an amazing year for everybody.
It
You
will be
can,
an
you
amazing year
will.
for everybody.
Yes,
Miss
it
Amber
is. It
Brown.
is. It will be an amazing year for everyone in real estate. It'll be very interesting. But again, just get after it. Wake up every day and just do it. That is
Own
it.
the
Just
day,
do it.
baby. It's a great day.
Own
Every
it and
day is
keep
a
it moving.
great day. Amen.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, everybody, have a wonderful and blessed holiday season, and let's make 2026 our best.
Do it. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care, guys. Bye bye. Happy Thanksgiving.